So welcome to another episode of Ability Talks with Elizabeth Patterson. As May is Mother's Month, it's not Mother's Month, but I'm saying it's Mother's Month. We're celebrating mothers for the first series of episodes. And on this episode, we're talking to Hannah Awadzi about motherhood and disability. She's a journalist and she's the founder of Inclusive Family Alliance, aka Special Mothers Project. So welcome to Ability Talks with Elizabeth Patterson.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hannah. So every time I reach out to you, I feel like I don't know you, but I know you. I reach out to you, you show up. So thank you so much. But my first question is, can you tell us about your journey as a mother with a child with cerebral palsy? And if I'm not mistaken, you have other children who are not disabled.
Yes.
So you could tell us about that whole process.
Okay. So my daughter with disability is called Aram. She lives with cerebral palsy, and she's my first child.
Okay.
She was a child that I looked so much forward to having because I had married, and the next thing was to have a child. So I was looking forward to having a child. I lost a pregnancy before her.
Okay.
So I think 4 months after marriage, I got pregnant and lost it 4 months afterwards.
Wow.
So I was expectant to have another child, which didn't come till 1 year afterwards. After 1 year,
we all know the stigmas culturally here in Ghana. You get married within the first year. You need to push a baby out.
Yes. So after 1 year, then I got pregnant again, and then Aram was the child. The pregnancy was a smooth one, no complications whatsoever. I tell people she was like my easiest labor and everything. We were discharged the next day after birth because mother was healthy, baby was healthy. We got home, and on the third day, I noticed she was yellow, jaundiced.
Okay.
I had read about neonatal jaundice in a pamphlet, but it was very scanty information about neonatal jaundice. So I didn't know what it was. I was with my mother-in-law at the time. My husband went to the office that morning and called back to say, hey, a colleague in the office said it's dangerous to have a baby turning yellow, so we should go to the hospital. And then my mother-in-law said, oh, her sister is a nurse. Let's call her. So we called her and she said, oh, yellowing, show her to the morning sun and it should be fine.
Show her to the morning sun.
Yes. So what I don't know is whether we didn't.
What was the notion behind that? Is it for vitamin D?
Yes.
Okay.
It clears the yellowing of the.
Okay.
So we were doing that. Maybe the sun wasn't coming enough or whatever. So we were just home. I realized the baby was changing. She was crying more. She wasn't sleeping. She was having panic attacks. Till 2 weeks after birth, I was going for my postnatal, not for her. But the nurses saw her and they said, this baby is sick. So I panicked a bit and we jumped straight into tests and other things. The hospital system is a whole level of frustration and not communicating with you and everything. But eventually, after about 9 months of back and forth hospital and whatever, she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy.
Wow. So when that happened, how did you, your husband, the family, the friends, you talked about you were with your mother-in-law when you went to deliver. How did the whole family, your social network take it?
So my first thing was to deny that no, this isn't happening. We probably have to pray and get healed. People said all kind of things. It's spiritual attack, stuff like that. That was the first thing. But for me, I'm a very intuitive person. And when something happens, I shut the world out. So at that point, I thought that I could just pray like seriously and whatever to get her to be healed or something. It sank in with me when she was about a year and I was pregnant after her.
With your next child?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was when I noticed that there was something to deal with. And at that point, I sank into depression, not accepting all kinds of things running through my mind to help me deal with it. I can't quite remember how I dealt with the public. I know that I used to go to the office and say, hey, my baby is this, but I can't even remember what the response was. My husband was with me in the journey. He believed that probably we could get some treatment somewhere, and so he started researching about stem cell and all those things to see if we could explore it. But we finally had to accept that we had to deal with therapies and all those things to help her improve her life. And that was how we accepted it.
Wow. So when I came to Ghana post-accident in 2006, my accident was in 2003. I came to Ghana for the first time in 2006 after my family and I leaving here in 1995. So I left here as a normal person and I came back as whatever. I got the stares, I got the looks. Like as a 21, 22-year-old, you want to go out, you want to go clubbing, you want to do all the normal things. And whenever we would go out, I got the stares. But you said you shut it out, you didn't notice. Was there ever any instance, or even as Ariam is how old now?
She's 12.
She's 12. And I follow you on Facebook. I know she's in a mainstream school.
Now
right?
She's even not in school
okay.
again.
So has there ever been an instance where like you're with your daughter, maybe out and about shopping or something, things that a preteen and their mother would do, and you get any odd looks or any comments?
Yes, the looks are there. The lack of understanding or ignorance is there. So for a child with cerebral palsy, my daughter is not walking, like she cannot walk by herself. So if you take her anywhere, you have to carry her. Now she's a 12-year-old who is tall. And so to carry such a child, it's very difficult. We have a wheelchair, but in Ghana, you cannot.
It's not accessible.
Yes. So I hold her in a way and try to get her to move her legs if she has to. And people will be looking. Okay. But I put a smile on my face and just do what I am supposed to do. I haven't tried going to the market as in market with her. Or if I go out with her, her siblings will be there and I will leave them in the car with her and then go and do So but people do look and you see questions on the faces of people when they see you with her like that.
I think it's interesting that it almost feels like you just made like a dichotomy between going out with her to the mall and going out with her to the market. And for me, I take that as like the traditional views. Like people in the markets are very much ingrained in culture and probably would not be accepting of seeing a child with a disability. And then going to the mall, maybe they'll just say, oh, maybe she's just disabled, not know what kind of disability it is. But culturally, what are some of the perceptions that people have about people with cerebral palsy? And if you could just highlight a little bit, educate us on what cerebral palsy is.
Okay. So I'll start with what cerebral palsy is a neurological condition. Neurological means brain, a brain condition that affects movements and sometimes the speech of children. And it is considered the #1 cause of disability in childhood. the other question was how
like people's perceptions.
When Aram was growing, people would just see me with her and they would say Asram. Asram is a tree word, which means that someone had probably cast a spell or something. So they say Asram. And when they say Asram, it means that as a mother, you are supposed to go and find a cure. They'll tell you that there are people who have Asram Medru. So you have to go find a cure or go somewhere and let them tell you what it is so that you can cure it. When I was speaking, I said when Aram was 1, I was pregnant with her brother. So I didn't have that strength to
you didn't have the luxury
go to people and hear things. I tried 1 or 2 places, and I remember vividly someone telling me that, they've done the ashram to my breast. At that time, I was pregnant with my second, and that every child that will suck on my breast will have.
Wow. and
this was me
who
pregnant.
is doing the ashram? Like, is there a person actually doing
ashram,
it, or is
it's like someone
like
spiritual,
witchcraft?
Evil eye,
yeah, witchcraft.
Of, yes.
Yeah, they've come and done something to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So any child that sucks on my breast will have.
Wow.
So, and I was pregnant. I was like 3-4 months pregnant when I heard that.
How did that make you feel?
I just said, okay, I have to pray, whatever, because I didn't know what to do or whatever. And when I had my second, he actually had jaundice too.
Wow.
But it was because we knew about the Aram's condition, and we knew that he had to be under phototherapy to clear the jaundice.
Okay.
And he is a regular child walking around and talking, and he even achieved milestones faster because we knew, we had the knowledge. For Aram, we didn't have. So that's one of the things people said, ashram, someone had done. So they will point fingers, and people will, when you go to people, they'll say, if it's me going to someone, they'll say, oh, this is from your husband's family. And if my husband also goes somewhere,
it's always from somewhere.
They say it's your wife's family, which causes a lot of friction, confusion in the house and other things. So those are some of the cultural things that you hear. And I remember recently, this was just recently, someone was interviewing me and asked, have I heard that if you insulted an elderly person, it's just recently,
while you're pregnant
or something, then the person could, and I told the person that, even having a Aram had made me more vocal. I speak my mind more clearly now than when I didn't have any child. So I don't know the basis of those things. But for me, like I said, I'm a very intuitive person. When I'm not working and when I'm not in public, I am someone who shuts everything the world out. So I hardly listen to some of the things that people say. Okay.
So I think I got to hear about you through Farida Bedwe, who is an amazing woman also with cerebral palsy.
Yes.
And I wonder, as Ariam is growing up, she's 12 now, what are your hopes for her?
Okay. I tell people that one thing that the Aram has taught me now in my current life is taking things one day at a time. Initially, when she was younger, I was forcing everything. She needs to go to school. I will fight the school system just to get her in. But after some time, I noticed that sometimes the fights do not do anything. So now I've explored things with her. I've explored swimming sometimes. I wanted to try music. I couldn't get any teacher or something. Now her daily routine is after morning stuff. She sits by her tablet, do YouTube, play games, play with her siblings when they come back from school. I feel that she's passively learning. She really knows how to operate the tablets and computer stuff.
She may be the next Farida.
And she's very aware of herself. She knows what she wants. She doesn't communicate like we do, but she's able to communicate clearly what she wants you to do for her. So I tell myself that I'm doing it one day at a time. I do not know how her story will end or how her future is going to be, but I try to commit to do the best. When I hear of something that I think is helpful for her, I give it a try.
Okay. So you're homeschooling right now.
Homeschooling
Can you tell us a little bit about when she was in the mainstream school and what pushed you to homeschool her?
Okay.
And the state of, if you have any opinions, I'm sure you do, on the state of inclusive education here in Ghana.
Sure.
And how is it serving your daughter and your family?
Okay. So when she was in mainstream, she's gone to maybe 10 schools now.
Wow,
I've
in 12
changed.
years.
Yes.
So she's in a school almost once a year.
Yes.
That's a lot of changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when she was very young, I pulled her out of school when I noticed that the school is fed up. You know, when children are growing, they are supposed to be able to feed themselves, toilet train and other things, but she wasn't achieving it at the pace that she had to. So at a point, the school will let you feel and I will just pull her out and look for the next school. She went to the government school, a Medina demonstration school, for 3 years.
Wow.
And that I took her to that school because there was a mother who is a special mom who was a teacher in the school. She has a daughter who is older than Aram in the school. And the school was a school that was being piloted for this inclusive education policy. So they had the one classroom space where all children, regardless of age and disability, were there. The first time I entered the classroom, it was a very dusty place in Medina, Zongo Junction. So I said, no, she can't be here. But circumstances forced me to try to put her in the school. And then I said, okay, if she has to be here, then we probably have to do something. So we tried to raise funds to renovate the class, tile the classroom, have a toilet and others. But there were challenges. The school closes at 12 midday. Aram is only able to get to school by 10. So it means I was taking her for 2 hours.
You're probably commuting a long ways just for her to be there for 2 hours.
What I used to do is to take her from school, put her in the classroom, sit in my car, and wait for 2 hours and take her back home. It literally meant that I couldn't work.
You couldn't work, you can't do anything.
So after some time, I spoke with the school to push her into the mainstream class that was closing at 2 or something. And then I negotiated to get someone who would be there with her to feed her. So that also meant that I dropped her. My office is at Ghana News Agency. And the school is at Medina. So I drop her at 10. By the time I get to Ghana News Agency, it's 11
closing.
Something. And then I will have to go back. So
by
this
2
was
to pick her up.
So it was like you drive to Medina, stop over, go to GNA for 1 hour and get back. I wasn't effective at work. And then eventually the caregiver also stopped.
Wow.
So it meant I had to be there. The headmistress said at that point that she wasn't going to allow a parent to come
be
and
on site.
So that brought a bit of, but I pushed her. She was there for 3 years. And when she entered class 3, the first day she went to the class, she didn't go again. Aram understands everything you say. So I don't know whether it was communication from the teacher, but for the students, they were very supportive. Anytime I was going to pick her, someone will come and tell me what she did.
Children are innocent, and until they're socialized or something happens, they have no clues. Just like everybody is the same.
Yes. And even for the children, at the point when I didn't have the extra caregiver, the children, the teachers trained some of the children to feed her, so they were the ones feeding her. But for some reason, Aram entered class 3 the first time and decided not to go to school again. How she communicates that with us is she has a school uniform hanged and she knows where her house clothing is. When she wants to go to school, you bath her, she'll point to her uniform. But after some time, even if you showed her, you forced her into the house dress and took her to school, she won't get out of the class, of the car.
Wow.
And I knew she didn't want to go. That's how she stopped schooling from the mainstream education. With regards to how my opinions about inclusive education, I think it's a good thing, but nobody is paying any attention to it. Teachers are not aware of the various disabilities. Some teachers believe that you are wasting your time for bringing a child like Aram to school. Some teachers actually maltreat these children. Some will socialize the children not to play with her. They say all kinds of things to the children, which makes it it becomes a toxic place for the child to be. And so there's a lot of revamping that needs to be done if we are to go on that route of inclusive education.
I always say that the policies are beautiful and they're very nicely written, but we don't see them actualized. We don't see them in practice. And it's a sad reality.
And there's a huge gap between the policies on paper and what actually.
And unfortunately, we had Mary Amwakofo come on earlier. She was mentioning how she runs a facility that does practices inclusive education. It's unfortunate that, like, in reality, that's not the way. And I'm wondering how you think we could bridge that gap. Were you and I in the room when they were writing these policies? Those of us, I used to teach in New York, and the majority of my students were students with disabilities. So they would have teachers come in and do push in and pull out. Like push in is when you have the lead teacher in the room teaching everybody, and then somebody will come in and work with the special students to the side, or get a seat next to them and like instruct them on the same lesson, but in a modified way that they understand. And then pull out is depending on the students' like learning difference. I think maybe they might be distracted by the classroom environment, or they need one-on-one, so they will pull them out of the room. So I was not invited to write this. I'm not a trained teacher, but I have some practical experience and knowledge about working with students with special needs or people with special needs. And I don't know if you were invited.
So
how do we shift that? How do we?
Been one of my biggest challenges, and that's one of the things I am pushing through the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations and other platforms that I share, that those that are called to the policy table should have representation of all
of us.
So when I saw the inclusive education policy the first time, I said, okay, this doesn't cover my child. That was what I said. And it's probably because there was no parent of a child with cerebral palsy there to also talk about their realities and what could be done. So these things need to be looked at in Ghana, so that all the various stakeholders who need a voice in making the policy are brought to the room, and their voice heard for the policy to come to be able to work.
So school is a microcosm of society. And if you want everyone to be included, like if you really want everyone to be included, all of us need to be represented when you're writing the policies, so we could inform on how these things need to be actualized. There's been a shift in the work you do, the name of it, and other things. So I want to know how, like, the journey of Special Mothers Project came to be Inclusive Families Alliance. So talk to us about that.
So when Aram was 2, I met a woman who had a child with Down syndrome. And I spoke with her. Child was older. I spoke with her. And when I was leaving, she called me and said, I've encouraged her. And that time was a time when I was drawn in depression and everything. So I said, okay, just saying to me that I've encouraged her meant something for me. So I said I was going to look for parents and talk to them. That was just the idea of Special Mothers. When I met different mothers and listened to their stories, and we called ourselves special needs parent mothers at the time. I just said, okay, let me call this Special Mothers Project. And that was how Special Mothers Project came into being. And we were just to encourage ourselves and share ideas online. We were on a WhatsApp platform. When we started talking, being a journalist, I said, okay, I need to start advocating with their issues. So I started doing articles in my office about some of the issues they brought out on our WhatsApp platform. And then it grew to a very big platform where we were supporting to rehabilitate. Like I said, we have rehabilitated the Medina demonstration school. We helped parents set up. We did a lot of peer counseling and stuff like that. And then I got noticed by the National Council on Persons with Disabilities then, and was invited to the first Global Disability Summit through the UK Aid.
Okay.
So through that, I got affiliated to the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations. And last year, I got some funding to help the group. Very little funding, but it was to help put in place a board and other things. So I put in place a board, and we had our first board meeting. It was at our first board meeting that the suggestion came that we should change the name Special Mothers into something more broader that looked at parents' issues and other things. And that was how Inclusive Family Alliance was born. It is doing this almost the same as what the Special Mothers Project was, but hoping to have bigger impact, further reach, and this time to focus on mentoring, coaching, and counseling parents. We see that lacking in our whole system. So usually the focus is on the child and their well-being, but nobody talks about the parents and the role they play in the child's well-being. So we are going to focus on the parents, see if we could advocate for policies around parents, even at workplaces and other things.
So when my accident happened, I was in high school. I was in my almost in my final year of high school, and it shook my family. Like it shook them to the core. And I remember when I was recovering, I got the therapies, physical, OT, speech, all of that. And then there was a point in time when I was asked if I wanted to see a psychologist. And then there was a family therapy for myself, my mom, dad, my sister. I think we had one session as a family, and then subsequently it was like, oh, you go, because you're the one dealing with the day-to-day. There's such a stigma, we're so averse to getting therapy here in Ghana. What's your view on it, or what are your comments on it? And you talked about when you had depression.
Yes.
Did you go into formal therapy, or you just prayed?
No, I've never gone into formal.
Okay.
I've never had, and I'm waiting to probably have that experience. But what happened with me is
you're waiting to have that experience.
What happened with me is that I did psychology at the university. And naturally, I'm someone who speaks to. I grew up in church. I was a church person, and I noticed that I could speak to people and get them to feel okay. So after IRAM and everything, I went to train in counseling. I went to train in how I could counsel, and then went to get license from the Ghana Psychological Council. With a degree, you are labeled as a psychologist assistant. And then I started reading. So what I do is a lot of online stuff, YouTube stuff, learning for myself so that I could also impact others. It's usually non-existent here. But I've had that experience with IRAM in last year. We went to the US in Philadelphia for IRAM to have a surgery. And you can see psychologists, child psychologists
everywhere,
walking around. Is working, and it doesn't happen here. So it's something we really need to introduce into our system. But I wonder if there are even specialized professionals that do that.
I mean, your degree is in psychology, so
Yes.
I'm sure there are others. Some of my students also go down that path.
Yeah.
But or social work when they're done, like to translate it to actual professional work, it's almost non-existent.
Yes,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist, yes.
I don't know if you have any final thoughts as we're wrapping up. If anything you want to say, any final thoughts?
Okay, so I think that as a society, we need to start opening up about some of these things. There are people who are dying slowly because they can't open up. Even if they do, their families will not allow. I remember a woman came on my platform, was added to the Special Mothers platform, and I engaged her. And then she said, I do not want anybody. As of now, I do not know who that woman is. Because her husband is supposed to be a person of high social status, and she doesn't want people to know that,
That she's on that platform.
Yes, she's actually hiding.
Wow.
But I feel that when you come out, you get support, you educate, you create awareness, and gradually we get acceptance in our society. So,
Yes, definitely. I would agree. We're killing ourselves or we're dying slowly because we're not opening up. That's very pivotal and impactful. Ghana here, we don't deal a lot with mental health and all that. And you've been talking a lot. You said you just with your prayers. But I would hope that this education, this conversation we've had has enlightened some of us on the plight of people with cerebral palsy, special needs, the full spectrum of disabilities. And you've learned something today and you'll take something and you'll advocate for inclusion. So thank you again, Hannah, for coming on board to Ability Talks with Elizabeth Patterson. Thank you so much.